Hey, Ryan Wakefield here, and this is your social media tip of the week. And what I'm going to be talking about today, I think could really help your church moving forward on social media. Because here's what I know, churches really understand how vital social media is with connecting with people in their community. But a lot of people I talk to in the church world are also very frustrated on social media. Like, how do we do it and approach it in such a way that we're actually going to get activity, engagement, that it's actually going to help us develop relationships? And quite frankly, a lot of the platforms have made this very difficult for pages because they want pages to pay in order to get access now into people's news feeds. So how do you do it, approach social media so you can get activity and engagement without necessarily having to pay for it? And the tip I'm going to be sharing today, I think can really help your church as you plan moving forward for this year, and specifically going to be talking a lot about Facebook today. Because I think the average of business pages getting into their followers' news feeds right now is about 3%, which is awful. Meaning when you post something, only about 3% of your audience that follow you, that like your page, may actually see that. So that's terrible. And that number just seems to be plummeting to all-time lows because, again, they're trying to monetize the platform now. So let's jump into this tip. And I think it's going to really help your church moving forward on how you can still get activity for free. So let's kind of back into this. I want to kind of share some broad principles and then go to the specific tip maybe at the end. So stick with me here. So, there's all these laws out there. There's Newton's law. There's Murphy's law, that if it can go wrong, it will go wrong. And if you've ever been a part of a church plant, you've probably experienced Murphy's Law. There's John Maxwell's 21 Laws of Leadership. And some are, quite frankly, some are actual laws, some are more principles, some are observations. There's Moore's Law. Gordon Moore, co-founder of Intel, and this is a mouthful. Check out this on the Wikipedia, this definition. It's the observation that the number of transistors in a dense integrated circuit, you gotta love dense integrated circuits, basically that it doubles every 2 years. So the idea is every 2 years, the amount of stuff that they could stick in a smaller space, that's why our iPhones get smaller, or the ability to, they used to, now they could just keep getting bigger. So maybe Gordon's law is reversing. But there's all these laws out there. Another observation we see is the price of technology comes down over the years. So, if you went to buy a 4K TV 2 years ago, that price may have been way up here, but if you wait, that price comes down. So again, that's maybe not always true, but that seems to be an observation what we see. So maybe this law on social media I'm going to be talking about, they will name after me, who knows? Well, I kid. But here's my observation when it comes to social media, is that the cost of features over time actually goes up, and the impact of features over time actually goes down. The big impact of this is that social media platforms reward early adopters. Meaning let's take Facebook, for example. When they release a feature, it's to your benefit to jump in at the early stages of that. Why is it to your benefit? Normally, because they're going to make it free. That's what we see, when Facebook released and you had pages, when you posted something, you could get a ton of organic reach because it was to your advantage. They were incentivizing people to jump on their platform, to take advantage of this new thing called Facebook. Well, over time, they're going to start monetizing that. So the impact over time of being on Facebook is going to go down unless you're willing to pay for it. The cost is going to go up because they're going to want to make money off of everything that they've invested. So if you understand that principle or that law of social media, you can start understanding, man, it's to your advantage, it's to your church's advantage to find out what Facebook is doing or find out what these other social media platforms are doing and be a part of that. And we see that at correlation over on the spiritual side. One of my pastors that I work for, Pastor John Lindell, I always remember him saying, find out what God is doing and be a part of it. Understand what's going on. What is God doing? Where is he already moving? And it's to your advantage to jump in and be a part of what he's already doing in your city, in your community, in your church, and in your life. And you're not fighting against his will. You're figuring out what it is. You're dedicating yourself to it. And there's this momentum and energy that goes along with you. And that's what I'm trying to communicate is the same when it comes to Google, YouTube, and Facebook. find out what they're doing and be a part of it. Because again, if you're an early adopter, if your church jumps on board of what they're pushing, you're going to get normally the lowest cost you're ever going to see. Costs are only going to go up because once everybody starts jumping onto that feature, that's when they're going to do what? They're going to charge people for it. So when they enter the game, what they're normally trying to do is kill their competition. So when Facebook started Facebook Live, they're trying to kill Meerkat. They're trying to kill Periscope. They're trying to compete with YouTube. So what they're going to do is incentivize, hey, everybody, if you come check out Facebook Live, we're going to do some special. Now, they may not say this, but this is what they're going to do. They're going to give it normally for free. So down the road, I would not be surprised if businesses and pages have to pay to maybe even go live. It's almost like having a TV station. If you wanted a channel on TV in your local TV station, you're going to have to pay for that. But right now on Facebook, on social media, we get to do that for absolutely free. They're going to do some other things. So normally, when Facebook was pushing Facebook Live, and it kind of comes and goes in waves, they're going to do things like notifications. So everybody who likes your page, they're going to, the first time maybe you go live, they're going to start notifying a lot of people to try to build your audience. Because again, they're pushing this technology. They might send out emails to your people who like your page that, hey, such and such church is going live. So they're going to do all these things in the early stage of the technology to try to get people to adopt it. So that's where it's to your advantage to jump in. Because let's say you're just posting a picture on Facebook. Well, Facebook right now, you might get a little traction, but you're not going to get a whole lot of engagement. But if you'll go live, you're probably going to see your engagement go 3 times, 5 times, maybe even 10 times of what you would have got if you would have just posted a text or a picture or a video, because they're pushing that right now at the early stage. So this is a little bit of a hack on how you can get around maybe some of the impacts of the algorithm and the decreasing engagement you're seeing. Is try to figure out what they're doing and be an early adopter for it. Now, let me just say this. There's a little bit of caution here, because sometimes there's all these new platforms that come out, new apps that come out, and we really don't know if they're going to be here for the long haul. So again, like your Periscopes, your Meerkats, some of these deals where even Snapchat for a while, where it's like, man, I could be an early adopter, and if this goes big and it stays around, the people who jump on and who are early adopters often have the biggest followings, the most significance, the greatest impact. But if it goes away, all that energy is wasted. So sometimes it's to your benefit to jump on some of these new apps and platforms, on the early stages, if you want to kind of go all in there. But I find it kind of a safer bet to when one of these established platforms, again, like a Google or a Facebook, comes out with a new feature, because you're already on there for the most part, to jump on that new feature. So you might be asking yourself, okay, how can we find out where there are new features coming out so we can take advantage of it? Well, a couple different ways. One is just pay attention to some of the promo campaigns. Right now, Facebook is running I think it's like a $19 million TV spend. I think it's also supported with digital billboards pushing Facebook Live. So you can pay attention, man, look at what that platform is putting all this money into, and I guarantee you, if you take them up on that for a season, you're going to benefit from that. There's also articles out there like Facebook Media, where you can kind of see the release of things when they release things coming up, or maybe what they're pushing. This is another benefit of following Social Church, is because we're going to do a lot of this hard work for you, and we say, hey, pay attention. There's some things coming up that you're going to want to be a part of. So one thing that they announced at the end of last year is live audio. So a lot of churches or pastors or leaders are a little bit nervous of going live via video. And I'll talk about that here in a second, maybe how to overcome that. But Facebook is launching live audio. So now I want you to be thinking, I don't think at the time of this recording that a lot of pages or people can do this yet, but I want you to be thinking, what could we do with live audio? Maybe we go live during the sermon. Maybe if you're a smaller church and you haven't really been able to set up a podcast yet, maybe this is an opportunity where essentially you start having a live and now an archive podcast, but it's just on Facebook. There's a lot more ideas we could talk about, and I will in future tips, but you can look at, man, they've introduced live audio, which could be really cool for churches. Another article I'd recommend is they're pushing like 360-degree video. This is a really cool article. I'll link to it down in the comments about how the AP trains their journalists to shoot in 360 degrees. Again, you might say, hey, this is something we need to pay attention to. This is where the market is going, and I would love it if the church is on the front end of this. So what would it take for the church world to get a 360-degree camera and use that creatively? Maybe we do that and go live, from the stage during part of the worship or part of, there's so many different applications, and I'm saving that for a future tip. But 360-degree video is another one, and then Facebook Live in and of itself. So just sticking with Facebook, 3 things to be aware of: live audio coming out, 360-degree video, and Facebook Live. It's to your advantage right now to find out what Facebook is doing and figure out how do we be a part of that, because now is the time to jump on board and be a part of that. Now, here's the thing, hang up. That's kind of the main tip, but I want to go a little bit more in depth, because when I talk to churches about Facebook Live or some of these things, oftentimes there's an initial resistance because they build in some assumptions that may or may not be true. So they think Facebook Live. They think, man, well, that's going to take a ton if we wanted to go live for our entire service. We got to figure out all this Facebook licensing. We got to figure out licensing for our music. We got to figure out all the technology. And I might just pause here and say our friends Dan over at Church Hacks has done a terrific job with a course on Facebook Live. And in fact, I'll put the links down in the comments. Give Dan a little love over there. It's content that I've had the chance to look at, and they've done one launch, and now you can join the wait list. But if you're interested in live streaming your service, their team breaks it down into video coaching on how to do just that. It's terrific. It walks you through all the equipment you need, the processes you need, gives you tips and ideas and insights. So if you want to go full on, you can go full on. They do a terrific job of training churches on how to do that. Now, but here's the hang up. A lot of churches are like, man, we don't have the time, money, energy to go there quite yet. But that's where they just like, man, so we're not going to do Facebook Live yet. Because when you say Facebook Live, they think automatically like life.church, we got to do something huge. Where I don't want you to immediately let your mind go there. I want you to think for your church, what are some little baby steps that we could take to use some of these new things that are coming out? Because I'm a big fan of doing things the right way. I don't want to encourage you to do things sloppy or do things the wrong way. But maybe what are some little things we could do to take advantage of this? Maybe we have the pastor come on Facebook Live and we do a Thursday Facebook Live. Doesn't have to be long, but you're talking about why you're excited about the weekend upcoming. So that could be really simple. And maybe it's the pastor, maybe it's somebody else on the team, and maybe you're just giving a rundown of what's going to be cool this weekend at church. Maybe during the church service itself, you go live at some point. Maybe you have somebody who's good on camera and like, hey, we're going live, and maybe you're in the lobby or atrium area. Maybe it's a part somewhere where you're showing even setting up for the service. There's so many applications, but I don't want you to immediately think, oh, we have to do this huge live production. And I'm going to save a lot of my other tips on some other creative ways we could use Facebook Live in churches for another video. But I just wanted to encourage you, don't let your mind immediately think, well, we can't do X, therefore we're not going to adopt that technology. Step back and think, what could we do? What could we do to take advantage of this? Let me give you one last example, because I was at a church yesterday talking with their team, and an idea came up of, okay, Ryan, talk to us about how this could work for maybe promoting Easter or Christmas. Well, most churches are used to like their tickets, having invite cards, and maybe they put an invite graphic on Facebook. Here's the problem with that. Facebook's going to kill that because it has a lot of text in your graphic, and Facebook doesn't like text. I can't get into all the reason why, but it's not necessarily built because it doesn't want businesses promoting just text. It's not why it's built. A lot of other churches have got a little bit more sophisticated, so they start taking a picture of their invite card, putting it somewhere creative, and putting a picture. Now you have this kind of maybe cool setting. Maybe if it's Christmas, it's in a Christmas tree. And now they're kind of getting around, because now instead of it just being a text promo that they've done in like Photoshop, it's a picture promo. That's a good step forward. But my encouragement would be, okay, think about what Facebook is promoting, where you're going to get the most momentum, what they're doing, let's say Facebook Live. So let's get a couple people on your staff that are, or your team, or volunteers, or board. Maybe it's you, maybe it's the pastor and wife, and say, let's hold the tickets, go live on Facebook and say, hey guys, we're so pumped about what all is going to be happening on Easter Sunday. We're going to be talking about some of the cool things. You're going to be wanting to invite your friends. I'm telling you, it's going to be awesome. We're going to be talking a little bit more over the next few weeks. I can't give you all the details now, so be sure that you're here this Sunday and be looking for these tickets. We're going to have them out on every chair, and so we'll see you coming up this Sunday. You're going to get more information about all we have planned for Easter. Now, kind of maybe the same idea of what you would have done in a graphic, but you took advantage of Facebook Live, and you can put more calls to actions in the videos. That's not going to get a kind of a negative impact by putting links and more detailed information in your content post, because you're doing that in the video. Again, a lot of the coaching that we go into inside of Church Marketing University, much more in depth, but that's just a little bit of an idea, so you can be like, okay, I see how we could apply some of this technology without having to go, where your mind goes immediately. We have to stream our live services, all the time on Facebook and do it at high quality. That's awesome if you can get there, but don't let your mind say, we're not going to do Facebook Live if we can't just start doing some small things along the way. So that's my tip of the week. Spiritual tip, find out what God is doing and being a part of it. The social media tip, find out what Facebook is doing and be a part of it. It's to your advantage. Once you understand that law of social media, Wakefield's law of social media, that it's to your advantage to be an early adopter when they release features, because that's going to be the lowest cost, highest impact, then you'll understand moving forward throughout this whole year. Right now it's Facebook Live, 360-degree video, live audio, but it's going to be something else 6 months from now. Pay attention, and it's going to help your church reach more people in your community, and that's really what it's all about, connecting with people and developing relationships with people. If people don't see your content, you can't develop relationships with them. So this little tip is going to help make sure that the most people see your content for the lowest cost. Hopefully if that's been helpful for you, I'd love for you to share this. Maybe tag somebody on your church team who needs to understand this. Maybe you don't run your social media accounts. Tag them in the comments below. I love it if you share it. If you're a part of maybe different groups that are talking about church communication, share that in the group. Love to get the conversation going about this topic. If you have anything that was confusing to you, put those in the comments below as well. We try to be as responsive as possible here at Social Church, and we've got some really exciting things coming up. So stay tuned for that. We're going to be talking more about Facebook Live, live audio ideas, more suggestions in depth of what you can use this technology for, and maybe some 360-degree video tips as well. So stay tuned for that. We'll see you back next week here on Social Church.